Okay, and I think we're kind of into our final driving section now, and this is
Doesn't sound good.
before we head to White Forest. So, and actually, most of this is story, I think, in most of this section, but we can still look at some of these landscapes for these kind of driving sections, which are fantastic. And actually, when you look at them, you can see the tree cards. It's really not that advanced, but I think your eye just totally buys it, like the top of those cliffs. And this kind of landscape was used recently for the mod Downfall, which is available on Steam, which is very, very good, and use this to great effect. And if you can decompile this and check out how it's done, it's really quite fulfilling to be able to do this stuff. Okay, so we're going to gate the player because we have a story section coming up, which is the return of Dog. And you know, Dog didn't really play a part in episode 2 until we got to here. And you know, it's an epic comeback, definitely, for Dog, with Dog versus Strider. And I think we're all a big fan, but you know, Dog as a character is yes, well, as a gameplay thing, he's everything about Dog as a character is scripted in the game, so there's very little you can do with him actually in game. You can play fetch with him, and you can race him in the car. And those are kind of your two real gameplay options. As much as it's great, this entire fight is completely pre-animated, and it looks great, but it's that's just how it is. And I'd love it if Dog had more animations, so I'm seeing what I can do about that in my mod. But I definitely want to include him because he carries so much affection, and if you can make sure that you're not ripping out the Strider brain, fantastic. You know, if you can make sure you're not messing with that in terms of that goodwill that comes with Dog, and I think that's what a lot of people had a problem with Hunt Down the Freeman with, was that they didn't really have that reverence and affection for the lore and the characters, and they pretty much ignored everything that was good about Half-Life or you know, this world that we know, and these characters and these relationships. I don't know, and just sort of ran roughshod over it. One of the interesting things here, so you know, we've been gated. Dog's going to ungate us, so that's one thing that Dog is good for, is ungating driving sections like this. So I think that's probably something I'll use him for, as well as hefting this great big thing out of the way. He's got some sort of pre-scripted animations that allow us to that allow him to pick stuff up and move it.
Would you mind?
That's really cool. Just the combination of Dog, and that's like a physics thing. So here, Dog is gating us, ready for the race, and so we can't go anywhere until Dog starts, so he kind of gets a bit of a head start, which isn't fair, but it's this kind of our final swan song of driving in this game. We can run Dog over if we're not careful. You know, you can really just put your foot down, and we talked about, you know, straight driving sections just not being very interesting, and so I think finally, you know, having us race Dog back there is just a really cool way of just making it a lot more fun. And actually, he's quite hard. I've beaten him on many occasions, but that doesn't look like I'm going to do so today. Oh.
Well, you won this time, Dog. Let us in.
Yo, let him through.
And obviously, any areas where we don't want them to bring a vehicle, this is how we deal with that. We put in just a series of very simple posts, just like at the airport when you're trying to get onto an escalator with your luggage and it won't let you because you've got these posts here. It's a really simple mechanic.
We made it. Safe at last.
And that concludes our driving section, apart from obviously the battle at the end where the car really comes into its own. And I have to say that I think the battle at the end of episode 2 is, you know, the pinnacle of everything that they achieved with Half-Life 2. Some people really hate it. They hate the Strider Busters. They hate the you know, the manic thing of it. But in terms of design, that battle is very, very clever because, and I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to play it. But what I will say is that at the most basic level, it's Space Invaders. At the most basic level, you have Striders that are moving towards the base, and as they get closer, the pressure builds, and so, and obviously, and there are more of them that are added towards the end, and so that pressure on the player to, you know, you start off at a serene, and if you think about Space Invaders, you start off at a very slow pace, a very serene level, or think about Tetris at the same thing, very serene, take your time, enjoy yourself, and then slowly but surely it gets faster and faster and faster, and as the Striders get closer and closer to the base, you know, the player has to really start moving and start being far more efficient with what they're doing. And it took me quite a few goes to beat the battle, even just on regular, normal, hard difficulty mode. And so I think that's it's very, very difficult to pull off that kind of finale event, and I haven't seen many mods being able to do that. I think as part of the mapping challenges, there were some which were on Run, Shoot, Think, Live. No, Run, Think, Shoot, Live. I should do that more often. Basically, you know, they've had various competitions where you are in a particular position, you have to prepare your defences, and then the enemies come in, and there were a few of those which really nailed that ramping up of difficulty and got that pacing just right. But the playtesting must be very, very difficult to do when you're trying to develop something that complex and that fun. Anyway, so I think I'm going to wrap up here. I'm probably thinking about doing some other videos in the next few days now while I'm in the mood, and I'm doing a bit, and then you probably won't hear from me again for quite a long time, so hopefully there's enough information in these to really help people out. And we'll see about maybe doing some more critical gems soon as well over on Run, Think, Shoot, Live. I'll speak to Philip, and I hope you enjoyed listening to this, and yeah, speak soon.